The State of the Art of Architecture was the first architecture biannual to take place in North America and specifically in the city of Chicago. The inaugural exhibition aimed to act as a survey of the state of contemporary architecture and engage its participants and visitors in a broader discussion about the future of architecture as well as the agency of the architect today and in the future.
In October 2015, the Chicago Architectural Biennial was inaugurated by the Mayor of Chicago, Rahm Emanuel, realizing a personal vision of a major international architectural event that would re-establish Chicago globally as an architectural transmitter. The biennial was supported by BP and held by the partnership of the City of Chicago and Granham Foundation. The Granham Foundation for Advanced Studies in the Fine Arts, founded in 1956, is dedicated in awarding project-based grants to individuals and organizations and produce public programs to foster the development and exchange of diverse and challenging ideas about architecture and its role in the arts, culture, and society. The inaugural biennial, The State of the Art of Architecture, was realized under the artistic direction of Sarah Hedra and Joseph Grama. Sarah Hedra, who serves as director of Granham Foundation, has been active in institutions with an experimental take on art and architecture, such as the Storefront of Art and Architecture, experimental exhibition space in New York City, which is recognized internationally as a vital platform for emerging ideas. Joseph Grama, an architect and writer, has served as editor at Domus and has been director and curator in major architectural exhibitions and biennials around the world.
All endeavors of the involved parties were clearly reflected in the biennial's inaugural theme. The title, The State of the Art of Architecture, is borrowed by the 1977 conference organized by the American architect Stanley Tigerman and hosted then as well by the Graham Foundation in Chicago. In the conference, leading American art designers such as Peter Eisenman, Frank Gehry, John Hejduk were invited to discuss the current state of the field. Each participant would present a recent architectural project that expressed their position on the state of architecture at the time, a time loaded with a struggle to redefine architecture in the postmodern era. The 2015 Chicago Architectural Biennial aimed to expand the spirit of this event by inviting both emerging and established practices from across the world to Chicago to demonstrate how they are tackling the most urgent issues of today. Therefore, the selection of the title becomes an interesting comment on the contemporary search for redefinition of architecture and the agency of the architect, but this time through a global discussion relevant to an era of decentralized global dynamics. For that, instead of a small elitist call like the Conference of 1977, the artistic directors of the biannual conceived an open, global discussion on the future of the field. This was also reflected in the non-hierarchical spatial organization of the exhibition, where all projects, diverse in subject and scale, were in dialogue with each other. The 2015 biannual, because it was conceived as an open discussion, could be misread as an exhibition without an argument by itself. However, the very selection of the participating architects and projects implies an effort to shift the architectural discourse from the dominance of starchitecture to a diverse, global network of architects, which is along the lines of the mission of the Graham Foundation. The discussion was not about a high architecture, as the state of the art would suggest, in terms of cutting-edge technology and design per se, but how technology, cutting-edge or not, and ideas based on simple or sophisticated concepts engage with society and contemplate on contemporary urgencies.
The organizers of this global discussion suggest that an event of this kind naturally take place in Chicago, a city fraught with modern architectural history, a place that once was a destination to experience the physical manifestation of modernity is to become a receiver and transmitter of ideas. Once put in this global framework, it's impossible to avoid comparison with the long-standing institution of the Venice Biennale of Architecture, In fact, the first architectural biennial in North America is a strategical event that comes from the Chicago Cultural Plan 2012, which seeks to establish Chicago as a global leader in the culture in a way that will also cater the city's needs. The Chicago Biennial was planned to counterbalance the Europe concentration of the architectural discourse, with an aspiration to reestablish Chicago as a reference point of experimentation and pioneering in the architectural production. At the same time, the global vision of the city of Chicago was designed to reinforce the city in a local scale. This was attempted by a series of strategies designed to engage with the public. Admission for the inaugural biennial was free, and while the exhibition was mainly held in the historic building of Chicago Cultural Center, events and exhibitions were held in other locations in an effort to connect with the city beyond the loop. Lakefront kiosks was part of a strategy designed to leave a physical trace in the city by the end of the biennial. 4 kiosks were designed in total, one of which was a product of an international competition supported by BP, and 3 others were designed by students in local architectural school in collaboration with established architectural firms. In an effort to re-envision the urban future of Chicago, a special exhibition, Bold Alternative Scenarios for Chicago, took place during the biennial, showcasing 18 speculative projects by emerging and established local architects, designed without clients or given brief.
The inaugural Chicago Architecture Biennial has set a broad but solid foundation for the future of the institution. Most certainly, it has also set a real challenge for the exhibitions to come. Will the next biennial have a theme? Will it really address emerging voices and experimental projects? Even though the state of the art of architecture has framed an underlying but specific point of view in contemporary architecture, the following exhibitions and curators will prove critical in framing the role and the character of the American Architecture Biennial.